Now that I've had the opportunity to get to know this crowd, and I think I like what I see, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. As I mentioned, I come from Kansas City. I've been interested in magic since I was a small child. In fact, very, very young age, I got interested in magic, started doing little tricks around the house. When I was about 9 or 10 years old, I was at my grandparents' for the weekend. My parents would go out of town on business sometime, and that's where I go to stay. This was a particular special weekend because Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock on the TV, there was scheduled to be a magic show. Now, back at that time, we only had 3 channels on TV. No cable dish or anything like that. This was a long, long time ago. We had 3 channels, so magic on TV was a rare thing. This particular weekend, 2 o'clock, it said, the Masters of Magic. Well, I was at my grandparents'. I planted myself in front of the TV at 5 minutes to 2 o'clock. My grandfather, sitting in his easy chair, agreed to watch the show with me. 2 o'clock rolls around, the magic begins. Ladies and gentlemen, all these magicians came out and did these wonderful things. But there was one thing this one particular magician did that I will remember till the last day that I live. You see, he came out on stage, introduced his assistant. She walked out. He made a little table or a little altar-like thing for her to lie down on. She'd lay down. He waved his hands over the top of her, and then he pulled out that table, and that beautiful lady remained suspended, or floating, if you will, in midair. It was the most magical thing I'd ever seen. And at that point, my grandpa looked down at me over the top of his reading glasses and said, "David, the day you can do that trick, then I'll be impressed." Well, you know, impressing my grandpa was pretty important to me. So as soon as my parents got back to town, I immediately went home, went out to the garage, grabbed a hold of anything I could find, scraps of lumber, a couple of step ladders, kind of made this little makeshift altar, if you will, there in the garage, a little table-like thing. Got it all set up just perfectly, as best as I could do. Then I invited my little sister out. I convinced her to lay down on this little table I'd made. I stood behind her and I pretended there was a big audience out there. I waved my hands over the top of her, just like the magician did on TV. Then I reached down and I pulled the table out from under her. What was the last time my sister ever agreed to help me in the magic show? Not for her. Unfortunately, a couple of years later, my grandpa passed away, and I was sad I was never able to show him that I could cause a lady to float in midair like the magician on TV. Then when I was 15, a professional magician took me under his wing and taught me the secrets of magic and the secrets of levitation. And I would like to show that illusion to you this evening. But instead of causing my sister to levitate, I thought I'd cause one of you to levitate. Come on here. Would you help me? You are? Perfect. All right, great. What's your name? Julie. Julie. All right, here we go. Right up on stage. Julie, you can stand right over here. Right there. Very good. Face the audience. Let's hear it for Julie. Welcome to the... Now, Julie, I have to ask you, have you at any point in your life, whether as a child or as an adult, you ever had a dream or fantasy of floating, becoming weightless, maybe flying or anything like that? No? You'll help me this evening though, right? With the illusion? You're going to play the part of my little sister. I'm going to play the part of me. Okay? Unless you want to play the part of me and I... No, that... Alright. Julie, I promise you everything will come off just fine. It's one of my favorite illusions. You're going to help me and hopefully this will work out just fine. You'll be safe. Don't worry about anything. I'm going to ask that you stand right there. Ladies and gentlemen, the lovely Julie and I would like to present for you the illusion of levitation. I brought a few things from the garage. Saturday night at the Magic Castle. How fun is that? You know, I love magic. I've been interested in it since I was a very small child. Started when I was 6 years old, got bit by the bug. And I always loved to watch magic and read about magicians. And this is a true story. My parents oftentimes would go out of town on my dad's business trip. My mom would go with him. And when they were out of town, I'd go to my grandparents for the weekend. I want to say I was maybe 9 or 10 years old when this happened. One particular weekend, they're out of town. I'm staying at my grandparents'. I open up the TV guide, and lo and behold, there it says it in black and white, Saturday, 2 o'clock, the Masters of Magic TV special. I was so excited because back then we only had 3 channels, no dish cable or anything like that, just 3 channels. So it was rare when magic came on TV. Anyway, 15 minutes before 2 o'clock, I'm sitting on the floor in front of the only TV in the house. My grandpa's over there in his easy chair. He agrees to watch the show with me. 2 o'clock rolls around, and ladies and gentlemen, the magic begins. I was so excited. All these magicians came out on stage, one at a time, and they did these incredible magic tricks. Beautiful. But there was one magician that did something I will remember till the last day that I live. You see, he came out on stage, invited his assistant to join him. He made this little table or platform, altar, what have you, for her to lie down. She got up on it, she lied down. He stood behind her. He very magically, mysteriously waved his hands over the top of her. And then at that point, folks, he reached down under and he grabbed a hold of the table and he pulled it out from under her. And that lady remained suspended or floating in midair. It was the most magical thing I'd ever seen. And at that point, my grandpa, sitting in his easy chair, looked down at me over the top of his reading glasses and he said, "David, the day you can do that trick, then I'll be impressed." Well, you know, impressing my grandpa was pretty important to me. So as soon as my parents got back to town, I immediately ran out to the garage, grabbed a hold of anything I could find, scrap lumber, step ladders, anything I thought might work, got it all in the middle of the garage, got it all set up, made this little platform-like thing here in the middle of the garage. I stood behind it. I imagined an audience on the other side of the garage, waiting to watch what I was about to do. I got it all set up. I invited my little sister to join me. She came out. I convinced her to lay down on this contraption. I reached down under her, pulled the table out. Well, it was the last time my sister ever agreed to help me in my magic. Unfortunately, my grandpa passed away a couple of years later, and I was very sad I was never able to show him that I could cause the lady to float into midair. But then at age 15, a magician took me under his wing, became my mentor, and taught me the secrets of magic, including the secrets of levitation. And I would like to share that illusion with you this evening. But instead of causing my little sister to levitate, I thought it'd be much more magical, much more memorable, if I could actually cause one of you to levitate in midair. Alright? Let me come out here. I'm going to find somebody that looks like my sister. No, sir, it's not you. I'm looking for a beautiful lady who will help me. Would you help me with this? Would you mind holding her drink? Well, let's make a little room for her to get out. Gentlemen, you might have to stand up. It's a little tight seating in here. Very good. All right, thank you, sir. Thank you. Come on up here. Oh, yes, your hand's nice and cold. You've been holding your drink, haven't you? All right. All right, very good. Very good. Yeah! That's so awesome. Hey there, what's your name?
Heidi.
Heidi?
With a K.
Heidi,
Yes.
that's a beautiful name.
Thank you.
Heidi, thanks for agreeing to come up and help me with this. Heidi, I have to ask you if you ever had any dreams or fantasies of flying or floating in midair? You'll play along tonight, won't you?
Sure.
Here's what's going to happen, Heidi. You see, you're going to play the part of my little sister, and I'm going to play the part of me. All right? Or you could play me, and no, it's better the first part. All right, Heidi, I do appreciate you coming up here. I promise you everything will come off just fine. Ladies and gentlemen, the lovely and beautiful Heidi and I would like to present for you the illusion of levitation. I brought a few things from the garage. Souvenirs for everyone. I mentioned a little bit earlier that I come from Kansas City, Missouri. That's a little bit of a lie. I actually grew up on a farm outside of Kansas City, and I got interested in magic from the time I was just a kid. And my parents would travel. My dad was in a business that would require that he travel from time to time. Oftentimes my mom would go with him. Well, one particular weekend, I would say I was maybe 9, 10 years old, something like that. I'd been interested in magic for a few years. My parents are out of town. I go to my grandparents for the weekend. Well, it was a special weekend because according to the TV guide, 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon, big magic show on TV. Now back in those days, we only had 3 stations, 3 network stations, and so it didn't happen very often to see magic or variety on TV. Well, one TV in my grandparents' house, Saturday afternoon, 5 minutes before 2 o'clock, I'm on the floor in front of the TV. My grandpa's in his reading chair, easy chair, and he agrees to watch the show with me. 2 o'clock rolls around, the magic begins. All these magicians come out and they do these wonderfully miraculous things. But there was one magician that did something that I will remember till the last day that I live. He brought his assistant out on stage. He made a little place for her to lie down. She'd lay on this little platform. He waved his hands over the top of her, just like that. Then he pulled the table out from under her, and ladies and gentlemen, that assistant, that beautiful lady, remained suspended or floating in midair. It was the most magical thing I'd ever seen. And at that point, my grandfather looked down over the top of his reading glasses and he said to me, sitting on the floor, he said, "David, the day you can do that trick, then I'll be impressed." So, you know, impressing my grandpa was pretty important to me. So when my parents got back to town, I immediately went home, ran to the garage, grabbed a hold of anything I could find, scrap lumber, a couple of step ladders. I kind of made this little makeshift table out in the garage, got it all set up with what I could find. Once I was convinced it was the best it could be, I invited my little sister out to the room. I convinced her to lay on this little platform thing. I waved my hands over the top of her, just like the magician did on TV. I reached underneath, pulled the table out from under her, and hey, it was the last time my sister ever helped me in my magic show. Unfortunately, a couple of years later, my grandfather passed away. I was saddened that I was never able to show him that I could cause the lady to float in midair. And the magician, when I was 15, took me under his wing and taught me the secret to levitation. And I would like to share that illusion with you this evening. But you know, I thought it'd be much more magical, much more memorable, if instead of causing my sister to float, I could cause one of you to float in midair. All right? Here, getting around. Let's see. Looking. Just gotta find someone that looks like my sister. Yeah. Would you help? You don't mind? May I borrow her? You don't care. She's not even with you, Art. Right? All right. Yes. Come on.
Your sister was cute.
Ah, yes, she was, wasn't it? What's your first name? Jocelyn. Jocelyn, right this way. All right. What's that drink? Are you done with this, Kay? All right. I'm going to put it over here. There you go. Right up there. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jocelyn to the stage. Jocelyn, thank you for coming up. You're going to play the part of my sister. I'm going to play the part of me. Unless you would like to play the part of me, and I will play... No. Jocelyn, have you ever had any dreams or fantasies where there's a child or an adult of flying or floating in midair? Oh, perfect. Yeah, all right.
Falling.
Or falling? All right.
Flying and falling.
Flying and falling. That's kind of a nightmare there, Johnson. Well, that won't happen this evening because I've mastered the illusion of levitation. You're going to be my assistant. I promise you everything will come off just fine. All you have to do is follow my instructions, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, the beautiful Jocelyn and I present the illusion of levitation. Here we go. Jocelyn's over here. Brought a few things from the garage.